Hi everyone. The purpose of this video is to talk about the Deep Thought learning and development drills. Deep Thought is an L&D partner to a few organizations. So we solve a problem of bringing in fresh talent. Now, do you hire young people or do you hire experienced people? Right? Usually you don't get young experienced people. So the advantage of hiring somebody who's fresh, who does not have any experience, is the person comes with a clean slate. You can get the person to adapt to the way in which your organization works. But if you hire an experienced person, that person knows how to handle situations, that person knows how to execute a few tasks, possibly has got a few skills as well. But the problem is the person comes with a baggage. That person is already used to a certain way of thinking. And to change that way of thinking and to adapt to new environments is not easy. And the people who can adapt really, really well are usually very expensive. The people who can adapt are usually very expensive. So company can either hire freshers, the company can hire experienced people. Now, there are certain organizations which have worked with Deep Thought, which were looking for, fresh thinking. So now, but the problem when you look for fresh thinking is, will it end up being extremely expensive for me because I need to, spoon feed this person in so many places. This person won't be able to figure it out. What if this person can't do the job? There are all these concerns. And if you're talking about a technology company, you do not want your technology IP to, go outside. You do not want to expose it to somebody new unless you're really, really sure you don't want to hire a person. So this is exactly where Deep Thought solves the problem. We act as a HR business partner for the company. We hire a fresher, and while hiring a fresher, the idea is to look for somebody with a strong learning drive. We look for somebody with a strong learning drive, and usually, even when you're trying to evaluate somebody with a strong learning drive, there's a 60 to 70% hit rate there. There are candidates who fake a learning drive just because they want a job. The flow will stop learning the day the flow stops receiving a salary. There are candidates who learn for the joy of learning, and there are candidates who learn only because the company asks them to. They will do anything which the company asks them to do. It's not an internal drive. So we try to identify those candidates for whom that learning passion comes from within. So you might ask, why do you have only 60 to 70% hit rate? That is because there's always a possibility that the candidate gets into that learning drive after being hired. So we take that chance with a few candidates. So we usually have a small learning period where the candidate is not on payroll. We have a small learning period where the candidate is not on payroll. So this helps the company in understanding, is this candidate a right candidate, right? So in that period, you give some learning. Of course, you're spending on the learning, but Deep Thought does not charge a company for this learning. So that's a complete cost to us where we spend on the candidate's learning. And only if the candidate turns out to be good, the candidate earns, the candidate gets on the payroll, and we earn because the candidate gets on the payroll and we start earning. So that's how it works for us. So now the question is, what do we really do to improve this fresher and get this fresher on par with experienced candidates? So apart from technical skills, we focus on business acumen, product mindset, learnability, and project execution. So learnability, World Economic Forum calls this the most important skill that can keep you alive. In today's world, the technology is changing very fast. Adaptability is very important, but more than adaptability, you've got to have the ability to learn new things and implement those new things. So Deep Thought has got learnability modules. So through thread building, people develop something called metacognitive synthesis. We've got rigor builder to bring in better reasoning and to be able to puncture reasons. We've got the maturity builder for emotional intelligence and so on. So we've got these drills which develop the person's ability to learn. Secondly, business acumen. Every Saturday we have a Socratic dialogue. You can watch it on our YouTube channel. So through the Socratic dialogue, we imbibe that business oriented thinking. We teach marketing, we teach finance, we teach operations, we teach UX, we teach UI. Multiple functions are taught to everybody so that there's an all-round business understanding to the candidates. And then we have something called LDI, the Leadership Development Initiative, where candidates come in, they pitch their own ideas, they discuss with each other. So that cross-pollination of ideas is super interesting and it makes them take initiative. And then every day there's something called, there's a work reflection at the end of the whole day for 20 minutes, where candidates, write what did they plan for the whole day and what did they end up achieving? What is the gap between plan versus actual? So what are the bottlenecks? What stopped them from being productive is something the candidates write during the work reflection. So these are the things that the candidates go through. Now, how has this helped companies? Well, one of our clients, Gropital, hired candidates, 8 candidates, of which they had absorbed 7 of them full time. Kringle had hired 3 candidates, absorbed 2 of them full time. Creative Organics, a 32-year-old pharma company founded by a NASA Caltech scientist, hired 2 candidates, of which one was hired to report to the CEO directly to lead the growth initiatives of the organization. So, through these learning and development drills, we've not just been able to hire freshers, but develop freshers for very large responsibilities, as I mentioned here. I mean, Deep Thought was the first beneficiary of this L&D. Shagun Mishra, our Assistant Vice President Data Infrastructure, who handled 58 projects in the last financial year for Deep Thought. She worked on 58 software projects. Shawan Mandal, our Assistant Vice President Technology, who works on 8 different technology stacks right now, were also products of the Deep Thought L&D initiative. So 2 youngsters who came in as interns were able to grow as AVPs, handle the complete organizational responsibility. So we are largely a youth-driven organization. There are 2 schools of thought. There's one school of thought which says youngsters can't do anything. I mean, it's only experienced people who have to drive organizations. And there's another school of thought which says that youngsters can change the world, and it's just the right mentorship and the right guidance that the youngsters require to change the world. So Deep Thought belongs to the second school of thought, where we believe in youngsters. Our CTO, Mr. Hariharan Anand, carries 30 plus years of experience in the tech space, is the fractional CTO for about 5 companies right now. So with this guidance, I think this young team has been able to lead quite well. Our chief mentor, Mr. Yugandhar Reddy, has mentored hundreds of rural entrepreneurs to his organization, VREAP. So he's helped us get a sense of how to design processes, how to review, how to set up systems, how to coach these youngsters to be leaders, and so on. So, and of course, our mentor and investor, Mr. S. Vishwanathan, was the former Chief People Officer of NIT Technologies, and he helps us again understand our blind spots and set right the systems internally. So this is how this organization works, and we are in turn powering other organizations right now to help them build this young team of leaders. So if you're signing up for a Deep Thought L&D drill, so the Deep Thought L&D drill is not like one of those courses that we get into where we don't attend the class and just somehow try to manage and somehow try to sneak a certificate out. So there's a high value program, I mean, with huge transformation that people have experienced. I believe some of the transformation stories were already shared with you immediately after you had applied. Even if you apply to our client who signed up to our L&D subscription, you will get those transformation stories in a message. So that tells you what people have thought. And typically it's 30% of the intake which gets it. So in any classroom program, it's only, the 30% which benefit, right? So if you're somebody who comes in with the right intent to grow in an all-round manner, not just in your domain, but in an all-round manner, because the reason why a lot of people get stuck in their careers, is because they focus only on their own domain. But as you grow in the corporate hierarchy, you've got to have a 360-degree view, because your team will have people of different domains, and all the domains cohere to, deliver the consumer value. For example, let's say you're working in a SaaS environment. So if you're growing, to higher positions within your company, so then you'd be working with product managers, you'd be working with developers, you'd be working with data scientists, you might even be working with some marketeers. So one of Gropital's young associates, Arjun Mandal, had mentioned that he got a partner level experience with Deep Thought, where he got to understand, at a McKinsey or an Ernst & Young or a Deloitte, how does a partner think? So that's the kind of exposure that Deep Thought L&D drills sort of give you. Or Devmita Chatterjee at Kringle.ai mentioned that with Deep Thought, she learned how to teach herself any topic, and now she's not scared of any challenge, because even if she doesn't know that, she knows how to teach herself that topic. That's learnability that she's talking about, while Arjun was talking about business acumen. And Balaji is like the right hand to the CEO right now at Creative Organics, and it's his project execution abilities, which are phenomenal right now, where he knows how to introspect, take a step back, and then figure out how to fine tune the processes before, going ahead. So this has been the journey, and we charge our clients an amount of around 8,000 rupees per month for your mentoring. So if you're actually a part of these L&D drills, it makes sense for you to take them seriously, because a huge amount is invested on you, somewhere close to 50,000 is invested on your transformation, because the company believes that you can be one of the young leaders, you can fuel the growth of the organization. Now, would you continue in the company or would you not continue in the company? Our experience has been that most of the candidates on whom you invest on the L&D have an inclination towards continuing in a similar environment, because when they go to other companies later, they don't get the kind of learning that they get initially. The kind of fast-paced learning that happens in this environment, it's not available outside. So generally, companies see that they're able to retain candidates when they give them this kind of L&D. So the companies, I mean, most of our clients do not put a string that you cannot leave us after 6 months. Some might, most of them don't. So to cut the long story short, somewhere close to 500,000 is invested on your learning and development. So what do you do with it? First of all, open your mindset, right? Your mindset is influenced by the kind of people around you. So ask yourself one question: how many people around you have grown to a level above a manager, as a vice president or a CTO or a CEO or something? So this business acumen and learnability, some of these topics, the value is only understood by people who are in higher levels within an organization. So we tend to be influenced, in a way that our thought process is stuck at the level of a team leader or stuck at the level of a manager. So unless you come out of that mindset, it'll be very difficult to exploit this opportunity which is given to you to get that kind of career growth. Because at Deep Thought, we believe that the world would be an amazing place if more youngsters can get to that, business and organization oriented thinking, where they can get to that vice president level or a CXO level soon. Today, what happens is you have a very limited supply of people who can go to the director level or vice president level. So when you have a limited supply, organizational growth is hampered, right? When you have very less people who can go to that level, they're expensive, their salaries are higher. But when youngsters can get to that level, you don't need to pay so much, because the youngster is happy to do it at a lot lower pay, because the youngster is still getting a higher pay compared to a team leader or manager, and the youngster is getting growth. So it's a win-win for the youngster. It's for the company. So overall, it's nicer for the economy if there are more people who are available to take project responsibilities. Because today in the economy, there are projects. You complete those projects, you can generate wealth. But even though there are projects, the companies are unable to take those projects because you do not have enough responsible individuals who understand business, who understand people, who understand projects. You've got to understand a project. You've got to understand how to complete the project on time. You've got to understand people and how to work with people. And you've also got to understand business to see how all of it adds value. And that's exactly what the DT learning and development drills do. They don't just teach you your technical skills, but they teach you how to manage a project, they teach you how to manage people, and they teach you how to understand business. And more than all of these, they teach you how to learn, so that even if there's some other gap somewhere else, how you pick up that learning by yourself without having to depend on others or depend on some courses to be able to learn that. So this is what the Deep Thought learning and development drills are. And if your employer has sent you this video, it means your employer wants you to understand what these learning and development drills are. And so take up this opportunity only if you think you want to be a part of such an environment, because we are going to continuously monitor you. There's something called UBS, Unicorn Behavior Score. So your learning is monitored every week. And through that, we get a sense of whether you're aligned or not aligned. And usually in the Deep Thought environment, usually not in all cases, but in most employers, we relieve people midway, and you'll not be eligible for a certificate if we relieve you midway, if you don't see that learning spark in you. Because if somebody is with us, we expect that somebody grows. Only those individuals who grow sustain it in the Deep Thought environment. Because as I mentioned, I mean, it's not like Deep Thought doesn't want people to survive, but it's like if you look at the larger society itself, out of 1 lakh people who get into the workforce, not even 1,000 are getting to the level of a director or a partner, right? Most of them are still staying in the lower levels. Now, Deep Thought again is trying to take people there to the higher levels by getting people interested in business, getting people interested in project management, getting people interested in people management. But not everyone shows that interest, maybe because of our parenting, maybe because of our school education system, that interest is lost. But when a company is spending 50,000 rupees on a candidate, the company, of course, doesn't want to continue with the candidate if the candidate is not showing that learning spark. The company would want to get that value the company is spending on a candidate. So Maybe if required, go through this video again, go through the Deep Thought website, go through the YouTube channel, Science Session Media, go through the LinkedIn page. There's rich content which is shared on the LinkedIn page. All of this will give you a sense of what this learning and development is about. But if you're taking an opportunity that comes with Deep Thought L&D, if you're taking an opportunity that comes with Deep Thought L&D, it's a massive opportunity, but take it up only if you believe you can take that opportunity and grow yourself. So hope you spend some time understanding this opportunity and hope you join us soon. We'd love to work with you and we'd love to see you as a young leader, because our organization is funded by about 190 investors from different countries. And the reason why we are funded, the reason why we are backed by different mentors and stakeholders is because the world badly needs these young leaders. And there's a kind of honesty and deep thought in terms of, how we go about developing those young leaders. So if leadership excites you and if you're curious, if you're that rebel who always got into trouble for trying new things, for being creative, then I think you're one amongst us and we would love to work with you. So all the while I was a little negative in the video because we want to discourage those people who are just desperate for a job. But if you've got this far in this video, I'm sure you're that one of those young and curious people. So I'm sure we'd love to work with you. So go ahead, read the documents, complete the selection process, and hopefully you get a joining letter and you join us soon. Thank you and wishing you all the best.